Welcome to Expat Hoops, the podcast where we talk basketball outside of the U.S. Today, we're happy to have former Division III college basketball player Larry Thomas here with us to talk about his time playing outside the country, most recently in Iceland for 3 seasons where he currently plays. Joining us is another current professional basketball player in Iceland who you may recognize from previous episodes, Fallon Stevens. Larry, welcome to Expat Hoops.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much for joining us. You're born in New Orleans, more of a native of Atlanta, Georgia, wound up going to Birmingham-Southern College, Division III school. Take us through a little bit about growing up, the latter portion of your life, or the latter portion of like high school in the Atlanta area, your decision to go to Birmingham-Southern.
Okay, the high school that I went to, Langston Hughes High School, it was fairly new. The years I was there were 2 years. Going into the recruiting process, I wasn't recruited highly at all. I had no offers. My coach was just sending me to schools to do workouts and or play with the guys that were already there. Went to a few schools. Some people wanted me, some people didn't. And then I ended up at Birmingham-Southern, and they wanted, you could tell they wanted me more than others did. And the academic part of the school, it was a great academic school. But I really wanted to go play basketball and be where I was wanted, because I didn't want to go and be just one of the other guys. So Birmingham-Southern was the first option of the options that I did have. So it was a pretty easy choice going into it.
So have a good career at Birmingham-Southern. At what point in the process did you think to yourself, I could continue to play after college?
Well, honestly, it was always basketball for me. But when it became like actually something that I needed to think about, was, I would say, going into later part of my junior year, because that's when I figured like I have one more season, like everything that I'm about to go through this year is going to be the last time I'm doing it. So I would say that, and when it really hit me was the last game of the season that we lost. And it's because I'm kind of a guy, like, I'm in the moment. I don't really plan, years ahead of my life, or, so I'm in the moment. So when my last game hit, it was kind of heartbreaking, and that's when I really had to think about what I want to do. Like specifically, I knew it was basketball, but like the route I wanted to take, or that I needed to take, because going D3, my coach didn't have, the connects that a D1 coach would have, because most players are not looking to play after college at a D3 level. So he didn't really have any connects. So I really had to figure things out on my own, me and my dad, and just hit the road and just see what happened, honestly, because we had no guide.
And that's actually kind of exactly where I'm going with this. This is kind of a story that's a little unique. Is we've had some people talk about varying levels of connections. Fallon actually had a friend of a friend, I think, essentially, in terms of connected her with an agent. We've heard of some people that have been courted by agents, because they either got close to the NBA and they were some of those sorts of things. So what was that experience like for you in terms of trying to figure it out with your dad? Like, at what point did you come up with an agent? Like, take us through what it was like, basically trying to figure it out almost really on your own.
Yeah, it is unique, because I started off with no agents. I came out here with no agent. The reason I got out here, because a guy that went to my school, he was from Iceland. He played on my team, but he left halfway through. But of course, we're teammates, so we knew each other. And it was October of 2017, and they were looking for another import player. And he just randomly hit me up and asked what I was doing. I was like, nothing, just trying to find a club to play on. And I had a brief resume, because that summer I was in Mexico for about 3 or 4 months, and I played in a professional league, but it was new, so it was, nobody knew about it except the people in this league. But it had video and things like that, so the coach liked it, and 3 days later, I was going to Iceland.
So Zacatecas Mineros, you were league champions. I know you said it was a new league. So not only were you starting out professionally, but the league was starting out professionally. What was that experience like?
Um, overall, I loved it. Um, but to start off, it was new, but I was familiar with the Spanish language because I studied it in school and things like that. So that kind of connected me.
That's helpful.
At first, yeah, and this part of Mexico is not like a touristy part because the nearest beach is like 4 hours away. And if you're going to Mexico out of the country, you're probably looking for the beach. So nobody really spoke English. So I caught on to the Spanish language very fast because I knew it a little already, and that I think that allowed me to love it because my teammate didn't have the same experience as me because he couldn't speak the language. Um, how it was set up, like they made it great because they had a little draft for us. Like we went on stage, we actually got drafted, but it was like 18 import players that went to Mexico. So everybody knew they had a job. They just didn't know what team they'll be on. And you could have either got lucky or very unlucky because Zacatecas is a state, and Zacatecas City is where I was drafted to. But you could have been drafted 6 hours away and like where there's 100 people in your little town, So it was very different experiences for like a lot of the people that went. But I got lucky and was drafted to the capital. And yeah, I mean, we had the best team. They honestly, even though we weren't, they treat you like you're NBA players, not the fans. Like they love you. They want to take pictures. As soon as we stepped off the airplane, it was funny because I'm a very humble guy, so I knew the situation I was going into. It wasn't the NBA. It was the complete opposite of the spectrum. But it was great because those like people there, how to put this? Okay, they seem happier with a lot less. So it was a good life experience as well, to go to that part because you can obviously just by looking and coming from, the United States where we're privileged, going there and seeing that it was kind of life changing actually.
That's a pretty unique experience compared to what a lot of our previous guests have had, just getting drafted into a league, as opposed to having to go through the whole, agency process, courting a team to you. Instead, you're going through a similar experience to what an NBA player might experience, except of course that's, turned up to 11. So you're basically, what was it like? Did you commit to that league and say, hey, I am committing to this particular player draft off the top, and that's sort of how that went forward?
Okay, no, see, it's a lot. So, okay, how I got to this league, I went on a tour in 2000. So I didn't get I graduated college in 2015. So 2015 to 2017, I was looking, like I was just searching for a job basically. 2016, I went to a tour for about 20 days in the UK, not in one place. So it was just all around the UK. We weren't in the same place for more than 2 days. Just playing, everybody on my team, everybody was looking for a contract, but we were playing teams that were already established there. Nothing actually came from this specific tour, but I met a guy that was like a coach for the teams that we were playing on, and he knew someone in Mexico, and that's how I got to Mexico. He knew a guy because the league was ran by the government, so he knew a guy in the government, and he just sent 2 players that he knew would succeed, I guess, for his 2, because I guess he just had 2 to pick. So that's how I got to Mexico. But I was just randomly looking like on Facebook, LinkedIn, anything I could to, for coaches, camps I can go to, agencies, camps that I can go to. And I actually, at one point, I was thinking of signing with an agent, but it turned out he was a shady agent, I guess. Yeah. So I didn't actually do business with him or anything, but I've heard stories, and I was so close to doing business with him and going to another country because of him. That would have been a bad situation for my first job, especially. So that kind of fell through, and that was like a shock in the process before I got my first job, because it's like nobody owes me anything. It's like I have to be careful who I'm, dealing with. I can't just, I was careful, but it only takes one time to mess up everything. And that kind of opened my eyes for that. And after that, I kind of moved carefully, and I wasn't even looking for an agent after this point. This was the summer of 2015. So after this point, I kind of wasn't looking for an agent, just doing things on my own. And I was confident that something was going to shake, and it did.
So Tony, I don't know if you wanted to follow up on that, because I'm still, I guess maybe I'm not sure if I understood your question, Tony, or not. But so when you're going to Mexico, because Fallon knew she was going to Hamar, but did you know specifically what club, or was it you're signing on to the league, it's going to be in this state, but you don't know specifically where you're going to be, and that's what the draft was figuring out?
Right. So once the 18 imports got there, because it was 9 teams, 2 imports per team. Once we got there, they were like the owners of the clubs in the stands. So we played for 2 days. So they got to see what everybody was like. Then on the third day, we went to a different area, and they had like a stage set up. They had signs and stuff for mini draft. So everybody knew they were drafted, just didn't know what team. But everybody was praying that they got closer to the city, because further away from the city was, the countryside.
Right. Actually, here's another interesting question for you, I guess. So when you sign a contract, usually you're signing it with the club. Did you actually technically sign it with the league? Because I think that's something that's sort of like my understanding of like what MLS does in the States is I think you sign it with the league, and they figure out where to put you. So was your contract technically with the league, or was it with this individual team?
It was with the league. I would say it was with the league because we didn't know what team it was going to.
Interesting.
But I think it was like a contract where everybody received the same thing.
Right. That's really interesting. I don't think we've heard that before.
No, that's pretty unique to the experience we've had getting into professional basketball that we've had so far.
That's kind of neat.
It was. I think the league was primarily to get their youth into something else, something extra. They had things, but like something extra. And because they have a league there, it's called the LNBP. I don't know if you heard of it or not. Mm-hmm. That's a professional league, and some players in that was actually in the league that we were in, but just much fewer.
Interesting. So as far as the experience, I know you were saying that you were treated kind of like the NBA experience, maybe on like a smaller scale. What were the games like in terms of people showing up and support for the teams?
Yeah, so it depends on who you're playing and things like that. But like I said, these fans, they didn't care what level we were on. They loved it. I think they were just happy to have professional basketball or professional sports in their town. That didn't just consist of the people that they see every day.
And so you go to this league, relatively new. You're there. You're able to exhibit your skills, as you said before. Get some tape. After looking for a few years, you end up in Iceland really quickly. You end up in the Hamar. What was the experience like heading into Iceland, learning who you're going to play for, getting to know the surroundings there in comparison to your previous club?
Okay, my first life experience had to be with the snow. I'm from the South, so I'm from the South, went to school in the South, so there's not much snow that's happening there. So when I first went, so it was a quick turnaround. When my friend hit me up, it was like 3 days later I had to leave, so I didn't really go out to buy snow boots and snow coat. I just took what I had and like just thought mini jackets would work. But that didn't work too well for me before Christmas. So I was walking around in snow, but with running shoes on because I didn't have boots. But I'm not hard to please. I survived. It's a small town. It's a nice town, but it's very small, so it didn't take much. But basketball wise, I went in not really knowing what to expect because how it was in 2017, the rule for import players, you only could have, so let's say one American on the court at a time. And I was going in as the second American. So we had to split time. The coach wanted, I guess a guy on the court at all times. We were different positions, like different style players, but we couldn't play at the same time. So I was playing 19 minutes a game my first season, the whole season. We were winning and made it to the finals, but couldn't pull it out. But it wasn't like I expected because coming out of college, being a starter, playing a lot of minutes, going into a situation where I'm not even allowed to play more than 20 minutes type thing. Like I can't, even if I wanted to, like I can't. So it was, frustrating, very frustrating. But what made it better is we were winning. So that made that's a big part of my experiences in these countries as well, is if we were winning or not, because losing is miserable. And being in another country, in their culture, around their people, and you're losing, it's just like not with your family. You can't cry your lows to anyone. You can't, celebrate your highs with anyone. So if we were losing, it would have been kind of miserable, but we were winning. So my situation in Hamar was, I would say, a positive one. And, that's just, and the country is very small. So that's how I got my next opportunity as well. And it was, it wasn't hard work like how I had to experience previously.
So you end up with, I'm going to try to say this right, Thor Akurieri, is that right?
The first part was right. But
Great.
Thor, good job. But okay. I can't do it if I laugh, but Akureri.
Okay.
Kind of like you roll in the R.
Okay. I can't roll my R, so that's why I couldn't say it. That's my
Okay.
excuse. My excuse. I assume that you haven't picked up Icelandic as well as you picked up Spanish, huh?
Not as well, no. But I can. I'm getting better.
That's good. Can't get much worse than I'm currently doing. But so you're there and you have Player of the Year, League Champions, right off the bat. You have a great level of success. You go into Eurobasket. Tell us about 2018, 2019 and your banner year for you professionally.
Okay, I was very excited about going into this because right after the Hamar season ended, like this opportunity came. And from my experiences, it took 2 years for my first job. And to have a job right after the season, it was like, I gotta make a decision because it might not be there. It might be the only one. So I was very excited going into this. this season. This is actually the current coach I have now. So he's my coach at this team and now. But going there, I knew it would be. I was in the same country, but it would be much different because it was up north and it snows like way more there, like a lot more. So I knew it would be different in that aspect. But it's a small. It wasn't a big town, so didn't have to do much getting around in the snow. But the first day it did like start snowing. My car got stuck 4 times throughout the day. So that was my introduction to the winter there.
You also had another car problem though. If you want to tell that.
Are you talking about the door?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an old Toyota Corolla. So and one day, I guess it was too cold. I don't know what happened, but the door wouldn't close. So like it would close, but it wouldn't stay. So it would just open back up. Like I had to drive like with my right hand here and like hold the door because the snow and the wind was blowing too. So it wouldn't have been a great situation. It just wouldn't close, and I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, that's not great.
No, not
You,
the Toyota Corolla either.
So your basketball went well, but outside of that, things were kind of iffy.
Yeah, definitely. It was an experience, but it's great memories that will always be with me. And like I said, I'm not hard to please. You give me basketball, food, and let's win some games, and I'll be on the more positive side of the whole situation.
Your club was really testing you apparently by giving you that car and seeing if that really is true, that you're easy to please. Give you that car, but we'll give you a good team.
Yeah, but I don't know who would have that car in that type of winter though. It's not made for that at all. At all. I don't even know why they had it there. Nobody knows.
You got to get some of those snow tires with those metal studs on them that they have around there.
Maybe even a bungee cord just to keep the door shut or something.
There you go.
Or like you
a
said,
lot more than that, but
yeah, just get another car entirely.
Yeah, just throw that thing in the sea and go about your business.
Yeah. So taking you through, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the club. You're doing a lot better job at that than I am, and Tony is. So from there, you go to another Icelandic club. Tell us about that.
I'll say the name for you. It's called Breiðablik. Breiðablik.
Oh, that actually looks that's actually similar to how it's spelled.
Yeah, but the D, that is not an English letter. That's their letters. It's like a like that. A, like a TH sound. But
Interesting.
Yeah, Breiðablik. Okay, so this after Thorakuretti, I thought my off season was gonna, since I got my first offer, after Hamar season pretty early, I thought I had a better season this year, so I thought offers were gonna be rolling in. But they were not, not to, like, there were, but not on the trajectory that I wanted to go on. Like, I wanted to go to a bigger league after this season because, we were league champions first in the league and I was player of the year. What more is there to really accomplish, and how it works. If you're in this league that I was in, so there's the Domino's League, which is first league. I was in the first division. So we were first place. So that team next season will promote to the Domino's League. So, that's where I would have liked to go after the season. But, no offers from that league came in or no higher offers came in. So I was going into like about August, September without an offer. So I'm kind of panicking because that's pretty late. And around that time, teams that start up in November, like games in October, they have their import players by August, September. So that's when I panicked and signed an agent. I signed an agent maybe in August. And then my coach at Hamar, he was coaching Breiðablik at the time. and he hit me up and asked my plans, and I was, I told him I had nothing really. He really wanted me, and at this point, it's like this is the same league as the Thor-Aquitaine team. At this point, it was like you either accept this or you risk not playing at all, and that's, I would definitely rather play than not play at all. So I took break. We were having a successful season, and then COVID, and they canceled the season. We had 2 games left in the regular season. And then, we were going to playoffs, but, none of that could happen. And my plans in that season was to promote with this team, because I was kind of confident if I promoted with this team, I would have stayed with this team in the Domino's League. But COVID messed that up, and it kind of like shot everything down, because I had everything banking on because I knew I was going to do well because I put in the work for it. But as how the team did, that's how I put all my eggs in that basket, because my team did well, then I would have had my next opportunity and things would have moved on and, so forth. But COVID.
So any unique
that happened, and they canceled the season in March.
I was going to say, so any unique story as far as how it obviously ended your season, but any unique story as it related to COVID in terms of difficulty getting home or anything else like that, that popped up on basically off the floor?
Yes. So I haven't been home.
Oh, wow.
So I've been here for basically last time I've been home was 2019 Christmas, for about a week and a half. And before that, it was August, and that whole summer, of course. But going into the season with Braylon, I haven't been home but a week and a half.
Man. So you had that partial season. You're currently not under contract. You're waiting it out, or you
right now?
Yeah.
No, we're in season right now.
Oh, okay.
This is okay. So after the season was canceled, I was working on my brand, and I wanted to film some things, out in Iceland that I would have no opportunity to film if I just went home.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, since they canceled the season so quickly, I would have to go home maybe in 1 or 2 days, and I just wasn't prepared, because I didn't know if I was going to even be coming back to Iceland anymore. So I wasn't going to even be able to film it. Or if I did come back to Iceland, it would have, took much more work, since I was already here, and I could have just went and filmed it. And, at this time, things here were much better than things home in Atlanta. So things were still open, the stores were still open, gyms were still open, and stuff like that. And if I would have went home, I couldn't do any of that. And my plans were I was already behind, because COVID did mess things up and slowed everything down. So I didn't want to go home and not be able to get in any gym, because that came first. And I was safe, my family was safe, so that's what I cared about the most anyway. And at this time going on, I got an opportunity from the league I'm talking about, the Domino's League. And of course, I was considering accepting that at the time. And because I could go home at any time, I think, because I'm a U.S. citizen. So I don't think it was the U.S. embassy, the embassy here would have, they have flights that can go, take me home. So I could go home, but the question was if I was going to be able to come back into the country, into Iceland, if I left. And since this opportunity came along, this is the opportunity I wanted from last year. And if I would just went home and I couldn't come back, that would kind of I want to be able to live with that type thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I decided to stay, thinking I was going to be able to go home for Christmas. So, I could wait it out a few more months and go home for Christmas. But because COVID make you the COVID situation made you can't plan for the future because nobody knew what the future was. So I was just, making decisions day by day. And when this came, I was just like, dang, we don't know if I'm gonna be able to come back. And when the time did come, like I could have went and came back, but I didn't know that at the time. So I didn't want to risk it. And then Christmas came along, and then I wasn't able to go home for Christmas. So it was just like, it kind of just dragged along. And now I'm, and the season actually started. We had our first game October 1st. And then after that, it was canceled. Well, not canceled, but postponed. It kept getting postponed by 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Not really saying when the season will start or if it will start, because, clubs would hurt like their budget if they kept us here and we're not even playing games or practicing sometimes. So like 2-3 weeks keep going by and they would just reevaluate the situation and just postpone it, keep postponing it. But then we started back January 15th. So from October 1st to January 15th, we had one game. And I was just here.
Just hanging out.
Trying to survive.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
shape.
I could see Fallon nodding her head, basically almost the similar kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky enough that I got to go home for basically a whole month, but even for me, that like October, I don't know why, I think we had a game on October 5th. That October 5th to January, or to when I got to go home, December 5th, I was just going crazy because we weren't even able to we were able to practice for a couple weeks because for a while teams outside of Reykjavik were allowed to practice, but then I think that only lasted maybe 2 weeks, and then after that we weren't allowed to practice. Gyms aren't open. You can't go exercise. I mean, I was trying to exercise outside, but you can't here, and it was so frustrating. So to not even go home for that month, I don't know how he survived it, honestly. But
it's been tough, yeah.
I was gonna say, so how did you survive that?
I mean, it has been tough.
There's no answer.
No, just surviving it.
Hey, that could be the answer, is you just got through it.
How do you just got through it? I mean, like I said, I kind of, figured out some ways to get around the system and things like that. To make my time a little better, because what I just wanted to be ready for the job I had to do, because the opportunity still was like I haven't proved myself yet. It's one game into the season, then it's postponed. It's like my mind is going, I'm losing it. I'm like, wow, I'm waiting for this opportunity and now it's here, but it's getting postponed and then the season might get canceled. So that's really why I was just trying to stay ready and doing everything I could with the things I had.
So not looking too far ahead, but have you kind of been in touch with your agent, whether it's been through kind of the COVID period or whatever, that, if you're looking to continue to go on, how are you even trying to approach that? Is that a conversation that you're having with your agent, saying, what do we do if we have another shutdown, or, what's the type of job that you're looking for next, at least in terms of what your hope is?
At the time the games are being postponed?
Either then or now.
Okay. Oh, so, well, at that time he didn't really have answers either, because who did, and he's in Los Angeles actually. So he's not even in Europe where he has close connections. He's in Los Angeles. So he really was kind of out of the loop. But things were moving very slow in that aspect. So I really wasn't talking to him much, because I was kind of hopeful, because in Iceland, the COVID situation was not bad compared to everywhere else in the world, because it's a small, isolated country. Even though things were shut down and stuff, but the number of cases and things like that weren't skyrocketing or things. So I had kind of high hopes, every 2 or 3 weeks. I was just going day by day, just hoping that we would be able to, or they would loosen the restrictions when the 2 weeks were up. So that's why I wasn't, once they postponed it again, I'm like, okay, everybody's like, okay, definitely now after, but then when they postponed it, it's like, okay, now they have to do it, right? And it just kept going like that until they actually, the numbers started going down. And my agent, now is kind of not really talking to them about next opportunities, just focused on, doing as well as I can here and with this team.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys still have a lot of season left to play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not much like time, but they squeezed, like we still play the same number of games than we would have if COVID didn't happen. They just squeezed them all, compact.
Basically, yeah, your whole schedule's been condensed. It's still the same stuff. It's just, like you said, all in there. And so how is the season going for you so far?
We're doing well. We're currently tied for third at 9-5. But it's a very tight race for first. And we have about 10 more games left in the regular season and about a month. So normally 10 games will stretch out like maybe 2 months, honestly. Maybe two plus months, but now it's 10 games in 1 month.
Yeah, and to put that into perspective, like my league didn't do that. We basically cut all of our games in half. So like we have about a month left and we have 4 games left. So yeah, they have a lot of basketball to play. So.
And we have there's like a 2-week cup right after the season, and then we're doing playoffs. So like the playoffs wouldn't. So if you make it to the championship round, the playoffs, like you wouldn't go home until mid-June.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm out here.
Well, for the foreseeable future.
So I'm out here, like I said, it's been a sacrifice. So I can't. I got to do everything I can to like secure what I'm going for.
Thanks for watching this episode of Expat Hoops. We have a lot more videos. You can find one recommended for you here or some general area down here. Subscribe to our channel. Helps us out. Helps you out. Lets you know when there's new content. Not only are the podcasts that we actually put online that are video, we also have audio through the By George Podcast Network, which you can find on outlets like Apple, Spotify, pretty much you name it, it's there. But subscribing helps you out. You get to see the videos that won't make audio podcasts. We have Expat Extras, which there are some stories that don't make our podcast that are pretty awesome. You would miss out on those if you didn't subscribe to our YouTube channel, didn't check us out on our YouTube channel. By now, I think you get it. You're going to want to subscribe. Right down here. Thank us later.